Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to NFTV Extra. We are live. Hope you're doing all right. And we are also live on Twitch. No, it's not the usual Newcastle United. I'm sporting a certain hat for a reason. Dale, you got any McLaren gear on or what? What we got?
Yes, I've got my McLaren top on as well.
Yeah, so Ferrari, McLaren. We'll talk a little bit why we support one of them in a second, but we're going to bring it back. We did a little bit of Formula One on the channel with Brandon, Matt, and myself a couple of years ago with the black and white flag. So we thought, you know what, let's bring it back. Let's try and do some F1 videos because it's another love that me and Dale do have away from Newcastle United men and Newcastle United women, and we love F1. We've loved it since the mid-90s when we were little kids, and well, we did deal before we get into the preview in the F1 season. We're both like Damon Hill, didn't we, at the time at Williams, didn't we?
Yeah, it was. Back then, it was Damon Hill, Prost, and then it was Senna, and then unfortunately Senna died in Imola '94. But it was just we just fell in love with like Damon Hill, like Brit at the time, biggest Brit that was going to go for the championship. Then after '96 season, Williams decided to get rid of him, and that's when we parted ways to two different teams. And ever since that. Yeah, 1997, we've been rivals ever since.
Yeah, and we've always had a little bit of Mickey take because obviously your man dad support McLaren, and when I used to come over and sometimes I'll sleep over yours as a kid and wind them all out with Ferrari one, especially when Schumacher was dominating that year. I think he won 14 out of 17 races in one season, which is mental. But yeah, obviously Damon Hill moved to the Arrows, and I still wanted him to win that race when he got that. What did he get when Jack Villeneuve was hunting him down? Was it?
It was the Hungarian Grand Prix. He absolutely dominated. And then 12 laps before the end, he had a hydraulic problem, which slowed the car right down, and Villeneuve got him on the last lap. But still, that is to
Try and run
the
him off, didn't he?
you
But
got to do anything to get a win now. These days, the FIA would have been like a grid penalty, a fine.
yeah, and back then he only had 6 points for second place. So
It's
yeah,
mental the way the point system's like compared to now to back then. It was like very difficult to get in the top six.
it was top six and he didn't score. And people who've only been F1 fans probably the last 15 years probably not seen all of that. It was me and Dale Hard yet. I finished top six just to get a point. Which was a huge achievement in itself. We are going to look at the preview of that of the season coming up as well. But obviously, I switched to Ferrari. Michael Schumacher joined, and the rest is history. Dale went McLaren. We've stuck ever since, really, since what '97, really, and
Yeah.
obviously the both teams have been successful or unsuccessful as well in periods of time, very successful, unsuccessful during the time in the last 25 years or so. But look, before we get cracking on, if you want to have a look at our little partnership group that we do have underneath, which is through NordVPN, which protects you on the internet. Now, if you follow obviously the football, I'm up and down the country, and I use a VPN to protect my own data as well as the channel's data on NFTV and NFTV Extra because we don't want the data stolen. And I think it's something like under £3 a month, which is an absolute bargain. So have a look at the link in the description below. Okay, dokie. We are going to come to your live chat as well, so we will read some of them out. So do keep your comment in as well. I can see Wolfson's commented, but we'll read them out. So do keep them coming in as well. So where should we start the deal? So do you want to start with the changes of the drivers? Start first.
Yeah, we'll do the five. Well, when I see there's five rookies, but some of them have had a couple of races on under the belts. So Perez is no longer a Red Bull. I mean, me before this was announced, me and Lee already knew halfway Perez's time was done at Red Bull.
Yeah, he
He
wasn't
literally,
performing,
he
was he?
literally cost them the constructors' championship. Um, but I was surprised they went with Lawson. I thought they might have went with Sonoda.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
we'll go through it then, because obviously there's been a change with the Alpine. Obviously, that was kind of like already in the Roughlands, because especially if you remember the Monaco Grand Prix, doesn't Gasly and Ocon like clash, or one of them accused of one another? I can't remember what the details exactly were, but I don't. To be honest, I don't know much about this lad, Jack Doohan. Do you know much about him, Dale?
yeah, I know a bit about him. His dad, Mick Doohan, was the MotoGP 500cc world champion on many. occasions. And Jack Doohan's been going through the ranks, started off at F3, did all right, went to F2, is done all right, and he's done enough to get Alpine's got faith in him. And
Obviously,
we'll see how he goes.
Yeah, and how well do you think the Alpine? I know they got a great result towards the end of the season, but how are they going to be? Middle of the pack? Or are they going to be towards the back?
I would say it's I would say mid pack at the start. Everyone's going to be on edge, but like they got better during the halfway point. They had some upgrades and it worked well. And they got a double podium at Brazil. The rain absolutely caused havoc, and Max Verstappen came from 17th to actually win the race.
Yeah. Well, son, no, this is just mine and Dale's show tonight. We might open it up to fans for F1 later, but do keep your comments and do keep them in if you agree or disagree about what we discuss as well. So, the Aston Martin deal. I want to say something. I think you know where I'm going to go here. I think Lance Stroll is only in a seat because of his dad.
Yeah, totally. I absolutely totally agree with like couple of seasons we said the same thing. How is Lance Stroll still an F1 driver? If that was any other team, Lance would have been gone. But like I say, Daddy owns the team. Daddy's got the money. He's just basically he can be 20th and still have a drive until he basically is like, I want to retire. I don't want to do it anymore.
But it was interesting because a couple of years ago they started off really well, like phenomenally well, and they've kind of like fallen off the pace a little bit. And obviously Alonso was promised a 2-year deal, and that's probably why he's obviously jumped ship. But obviously with Lance Stroll, I just kind of see him performing unless the Formula One team, I think it'll all be Alonso. To be honest, I think he's the lead guy, and I love Alonso's fighting determination. He's great, and I love he's overtaken on the outside, especially start of Grand Prix. And I think he's going to be where the points are going to come from. I just can't see Lance Stroll picking up many, to be honest with you, and because of that, I don't think there'll be more than mid-table.
Well, I can see where you're coming from because I see Aston Martin as Red Bull depend on one driver. So obviously Red Bull with Max, Aston Martin would be nowhere without Alonso, especially when he's first season with them, he was getting like podiums. I'm like, whoa, where's this come from? Is this Fernando of old? Back in when he was like a Renault, McLaren, and a Ferrari back in the day, he was like going through the years. He was like ruthless outside passings, but like with Adrian Newey now with Aston Martin,
hell of a signing. Can
you imagine Lance Stroll's world champion?
No, I can't. But
it's
a huge loss. It's a huge loss for Red Bull. It's a massive loss for them losing him because everywhere where he's gone, including yourselves, and he was at McLaren, wasn't he, for a large chunk? They've been successful. So
start off at Williams, got championships for them. Went to McLaren, got championships for them, and then went to Red Bull, won championships for them. It's every time Adrian Newey has gone to a new team, they've won a championship. So probably I'd say one or two seasons. I would say probably Aston will win the championship or the manufacturers.
Alonso's not getting any younger. He's the oldest man in the grid, is he? I'm sure he's older than Hamilton.
Yeah, he's old. He's the oldest, and it's Hamilton.
Yeah, we are coming on to Ferrari next. But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how that develops with Adrian Newey. It's a great point, Dale. It's a very good point on that. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. I'm sporting my new Lewis Hamilton cap for a reason. Now, we knew about this. It was just over a year ago that it was announced that Lewis Hamilton will go to Ferrari. First things first, I want to say that is incredibly harsh on Carlos Sainz. I think it's incredibly harsh for him to be kicked out of Ferrari to make way for Lewis Hamilton. Yes, a 7-time world champion, yada, yada, 100 wins, yeah, whatever, yes. But for a guy who effectively competed alongside Charles Leclerc, I think, Dale, that's harsh.
It is. Before the deal got done, Carlos was doing really well. He had a couple of podiums, and then he got the win in Australia, which is ironically the opening round, and then this year. Then all of a sudden, bombshell, Lewis Hamilton is signed for Ferrari. I felt like, that's not fair on Carlos. Like, he's done an absolutely amazing job. he went toe to toe with Charles Leclerc, and he's finished. I think it was fourth, fifth, or fifth in the championship last season. I'm glad he got. I'm glad he got a deal done with Williams because
Yeah,
that'll be bad losing Carlos. Like he didn't. He deserves a drive in F1. Never know. Never know.
I
There
mean,
might have been a deal. There might have been a deal for Carlos once Lewis Hamilton retires. You
right,
get
goes
that. You
back.
get the seat back if you want it.
We'll talk about Williams a little bit later, but obviously Lewis Hamilton, of course. I mean, I think he's underperformed in Mercedes. And that some people might say that's controversial because it's not the car that it used to be. But I think George Russell's probably it's out before over collective time since they've both been at Mercedes. I think Russell's probably shaded it for me, and I think Lewis Hamilton has a lot to prove. And obviously, I'm a big F1 Ferrari fan myself, but the jury's out for Hamilton. For me, I think this is make or break. I know he's come towards the end of his career. He's just literally turned 40. Um, but where do you see expectations for Hamilton? Do you expect Ferrari to be right at the front, or do you find them just to be off the pace, or do you still think it'll be McLaren, Red Bull, and Ferrari?
I think it'll be a four-way battle. It's still going to be the big four: McLaren, Ferrari,
But you think Mercedes will?
Mercedes, and Red Bull. Because like I was watching the 3-day test at Bahrain. I watched all that. In when we go on with Kimi, the rookie, Antonelli, and Russell, they've got like we're working together. Right, this is what the car wants, and you can see the car's a lot more stable as it was last year. But I still I still say it's going to be between the big four. But I think if it goes off last season, I think it's going to be between Ferrari. It's going to be between us two again.
Ferrari, McLaren. I mean, Ferrari gradually improved slowly, step by step. And obviously, there was a massive change last season for the principal, of course. And obviously, you've seen the stats there with Lewis Hamilton, which is just absolutely bonkers. And of course, not Carlos, Charles Leclerc, still relatively young, only born in '97, and he's got a few wins under his belt. But with this Ferrari, then I'm going to put you on the spot, Dale. Out of Leclerc and Hamilton, who ends up with the most points?
I'll go Charles. I'll go. It'll be close. It'll be close between the two of them, but I'll just go Charles because he's been a Ferrari the longest, obviously. But I think Hamilton will bring more out of Leclerc this season because
In terms of competition?
Lewis has had more experience. So I think Charles will go to Lewis, and Lewis will give him advice, and they'll work together because Ferrari's goal is going to be if we call the manufacturers. Well, not the constructors' title they're going to go for if they can't get the world championship. That's one of the main things. It's like Ferrari. So that's what you need. That's what you need. You need like an experienced teammate to come in, and I think when that got done there, Charles was looking forward to it already. You could see he was looking forward to the battle.
And I think last season, although Sainz wasn't technically driver number two, he was really, let's be honest. I don't think that'll be the case this season. I think there is literally number one. And I think until further on the championship, then it might get decided, similar to what McLaren did earlier in the season. But yeah, so interesting. Let's have a look at what you're saying. Let's see if we've get your comments coming in as well. We've got Wolf saying, what's your favourite? Keep your questions coming later. What's your favourite circuit of all time? I on the PlayStation, I did actually enjoy quite weirdly the Monaco Grand Prix because I used to cheat all the time because I could never win it. So if I would crash, I would just literally go in the pits and slow everybody up and crash at them. I can't wait to see Hamilton win a world championship with Ferrari. Wow. Big statement. Your favourite circuit, I know it's boring, is Monaco Grand Prix. I do like Spa, which Dale you've been to, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been to Spa, and it's.
And I like the nighttime races as well.
Which one though? Because
any of them, I just think it brings something different to Formula One.
Yeah, because Singapore's a good Grand Prix.
Yeah,
Singapore, Bahrain's like one of the easiest circuits of all the F1 circuits that they've ever been. It doesn't really. There's no. It's just more like high downforce, like high flying corners. It's not really testing the drivers as like a Catalonia, which has got more high Gs. Spa's got high G corners as well, so it's more challenging. Like Zandvoort's like another Monaco version. So
Feels like you're driving on a curve on that Grand Prix.
yeah.
Let's move on to Haas again. Ocon's come across to them, and we've got another Ferrari driver who's out on loan, who's very much impressed in Beardman. But how do you see the Haas getting on?
Battle the pack with battling with I don't even know, is it Kick Salba or is it Salba? I think it's them two are going to be battling at the back of the grid. I think Haas have stepped back this year.
It's an interesting one with the young lad, isn't he? Obviously, he's born and bred in Britain, and obviously he's been stepped in last season, got a few points for Ferrari when he stepped in, and it's a big one for because obviously all eyes Ferrari will be watching on Beerman to see how he gets on. There it is. That's why he finished 7th last season, which is fantastic for the young lad. It's great experience to get a full season out there. It's kind of like a footballer going out on loan for the full season to get his experience. I personally think Ocon needs, and he's won a Grand Prix before, but obviously there's a lot of tension I felt last season, but I think this will be his last move in Formula One. I just can't see him after Haas. I think he needs to perform to get a bigger move personally for me. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. I could, like Monaco, like two Frenchmen battling to be the best. There's always going to be tension, and it was like a couple occasions. Even when he was at Racing Point, him and Perez, they kept hitting each other, losing wings, losing points. And you're thinking, like, as a constructor, and you got a chance to get in the top 3, the top 4 back then, you don't lose points there, but they were like massively like racing there in Monaco. Like Ocon hit him hit Gasly, and both of them were out the Grand Prix straight off. And it's like you're like why you haven't it's like lap 1. You don't go. I know it's like hard to pass, but you don't go for like dive bomb moves straight away, especially the corner before the tunnel. That's never a pass overtake, never. And he still went for it, and look what happened straight away. Oh well, Ocon, he's not getting his contract.
And as he got moved, we'll move on to Sauber in a minute. Let's have a look. Newcastle fan says, I've been to the Monaco Grand Prix. Someone's loaded.
Wow.
Grand Prix, someone else is loaded. I'm saving up next year to go to Monza. Brilliant. Frankie, hello, mate. Even the lads, I'm a McLaren fan myself, Lando especially, but definitely looking forward to seeing how happy with Ferrari. Have you seen the film Rush? I haven't personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a good film about battle about McLaren and Ferrari, Niki Lauda versus James Hunt.
Not as good.
It is really a good film.
It's a good film, but it's not as good as the original Ferrari. Anyways, moving on, Newcastle fan. I'd already started on it. Well, I'm going to be absolutely knackered on Sunday because I'm going to look for the Grand Prix before the match. I'm going to have it on record. I'll probably know the results, but I'll watch it back. And then Frankie says, I'm also excited about the driver lineup at Williams. We are going to touch upon Williams shortly for this coming season. I think it could do well. And Lewis, I'm a Lewis fan. And now I switched team from Mercedes to Ferrari. See, main deal a little bit different. We stick with the team regardless of where the drivers go. I know a lot of people follow the British drivers, which is fair enough, but main deal follow the team. Sauber, I think they'll be towards the back personally. What do you reckon?
Yep. Straight away, like they've improved from last year's car. They've definitely improved a lot more. But I still like the testing in the free practice, 18th and 20th in free practice 1, and 18th for Bartoletto, the rookie. But Hulkenberg was P8, so I've got a feeling if Salba can get. No, I can see they get a couple of points, but I still say they're going to be at the back end of the grid, battling with Haas.
And how much do you know about this Bartoletto then?
Not much, just apart from like he raced in like Mick doing F3, F2. I know he won it last year, but other than that, I've literally got nothing. But like
it's
I said,
it's a big step up for him, isn't it?
Look what happened to Hamilton on his first. I know he was at McLaren on his debut. Technically, he should have won the 2007 World Championship. So technically, it was all his to lose, and he bottled it. But like I say, that's his first year, and look what he's gone on to do now.
Got to keep an eye on the Sauber. Obviously, they are got the Ferrari engine, but experience and youth there, so that'll be interesting to see how Hulkenberg gets on, of course, as well. Let's talk about your team, Dale. McLaren. Obviously, very successful last year, which was not nice to see. uh,
I'm afraid for that.
for me personally, but you've obviously talked about Ferrari being at the front. You expect McLaren to be there, surely, don't you, with the two drivers, and they're very talented young drivers as well. I know technically Lando was given the number one towards the end of the season, but at the start of the season, are the joint similar to the Ferrari?
Yeah, definitely. I'll always say it's always joint about just past the halfway mark. I would say that's the always you put it as equal drivers, and then halfway through, who's the highest in battling? If the other one can't really win the championship, that's when you go right. Can you help? Can you stay behind and do that there? And I was kind of like I was sitting there going, the championship wasn't really on, and then Max started to get no points, and all of a sudden we got like Lando's taking loads of points off, and then I knew the championship was over was Monza when Piastri overtook them. I was like, nah, that's it. He should have stuck behind Lando, got the 1-2, let Lando go off in the sunset, and then that way, and then, but like I, but Oscar after that was like, yeah, I'll help Lando and all that, and then Lando returned the favor as well when there. So it's they get on well. So for once, McLaren for the last 3 seasons have been good. I've always said this to you: we need a good car from the get go. We just can't do struggle at the start of the season and then all of a sudden become the car's the fastest from the halfway point because in championships are never won from the halfway mark. These days you've got to be spot on from round one to the last round.
It will be interesting. I'm going to ask you the same question that I asked you about the Ferrari drivers. Out of these two, who gets the most points?
Lando.
Yeah, do you think?
Lando, like Piastri's good, but when it comes to the decisive moments, Lando's more Lando's more decisive. He's better on his tires, which Oscar improved a lot over. But that killer blow, it's Lando. It's the qualifying pace. It's the qualifying that Lando gets over Oscar, and then during the race, Lando's pace from the get go is always like on the mark as Piastri teeters off.
Will Lando Norris be world champion?
Yeah,
Ooh, deal. Wow, you're going out there, aren't you?
yeah. I think because I think if Max had that problem, I'll say about 4 rounds before 4 rounds before Newey left, Max is not winning that title.
Yeah, we can't deny that. Both of us love the fact that Red Bull was struggling for the second half of that season. It was Leclerc. Then 1 week it was Piastri picked up his first win. Then it was Norris. Then it was Sainz. It was just great. It was Russell. It was just good to see. That was I think that's important that we'll have that this season. You don't want like Verstappen running away after 7 or 8 Grand Prix, which I don't think will happen again this season. So it'd be interesting that you think it's say I don't think the Ferrari will win the world championship. But I think they've got a really good shout in the constructors in terms of that. I don't think any one of our. I think we'll go close. So hopefully it is Norris versus Leclerc or Norris versus Hamilton, or whoever. But I actually do agree. I think Piastri probably needs another season or two under his belt. I think Norris is a little bit more quality than him. I wonder if the comments are going to agree with us on that because McLaren obviously are a big favourite amongst the British fan base.
It was weird. I'll tell you, it was weird when I watched the test session. Seeing a McLaren pull up at the first garage, I'm like, Jesus, we haven't had that since 1998. That was when the last time McLaren won the constructor.
That Coulthard Hackman.
Yes, it was Coulthard and Hackney back then. Yeah. But last year when I know Luck got Lando the safety car got his first win at Miami. But it was great to see. It was great to see him get that victory because you could he was getting hounded by the press, all the fans. He was getting there going, "Oh, you always bottle it. You always bottle it. You're not good enough. You're not good enough." and then he got his first win at Miami. Then all of a sudden, the confidence came out of Lando a lot more, and then became more wins, and which was great to see.
Yeah, do keep your comments in. We'll say that obviously Newcastle
More
fans.
McLaren fans, please.
Yeah, a lot of people not best pleased with Max Verstappen and his style. We are going to come on to Red Bull, and of course, let's talk about Mercedes. Then, obviously, George Russell will know, without doubt, will be number one now. We don't have to speculate that because obviously they've got another rookie in there. Is that a big call?
Yes, it is a big call given Kimi Antonelli his first break, especially like I think he's like 17 or 18, was he 19?
So we'll have a little look. 2006, yeah. So he's like what 18 to 19 later this year.
Jeez. But like I say, they've got faith in him. They put him in the car because it was either Antonelli or it was Bottas back into a Mercedes, which I think if they went with Bottas, that would have been a good, like he knows the team, he knows that, so it's coming in. But I think for once they've went, you know what, let's put a youngster in.
Yeah, it's a ask, isn't it? Because you're going from Lewis Hamilton. I mean, Antonelli's thinking, blooming hell, I'm replacing a 7-time world champion. But hey, it's got to go out there and do it. But out of the big four, I think Mercedes are the ones that'll struggle the most, just because of the fact that they're going with a rookie, and
Yeah.
it'll be down to George Russell to pick up the points. And look, George Russell can do it on his day, and he's had three wins in his career, but he's obviously going to be the lead. And I think we're both unanimous. I'm going to say George Russell's going to come out with higher points, aren't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd definitely say Russell's going to get there. But you never know with Antonelli. He could hit the ground running, pick up a couple like 7s, 8s, just get the points and get the experience. I think that's what the Mercedes are going to drill into him. It doesn't matter about if you get 8, 9, or 10s or just outside the points. It's more. What's more important is you get experience of the F1, the cars, the tracks. Just a bit more experience out there, and then I think the start from season 2, that's when they're going to go, right, you've had a year, this is now time to get like fifth, like top 6s, even some podiums.
Yeah, I just like saying Total Wolf unhappy.
Yeah, it is funny though, isn't it?
A strong Austrian accent comes out, but I
No, Michael, no.
I think they'll be quite well off the pace of the top 3, just because of that. And we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, teams can improve during the season, of course, as well. And Frankie's gone to say I would agree. I think Lando slightly ahead of Piastri at the moment. I think he's a massive chance for the driver's title. And Newcastle fans gone and put up with Kimi. He had to do the driving test and get a license before he got into Formula One, because if he didn't, he couldn't actually get into Formula One. Yeah, I think Max Verstappen joined at 17 and he didn't have a license, did he? I'm sure.
No, he didn't. He had to like drive for it, and because he just went from F3, the lowest division, straight into an F1 car with now Toro Rosso. Well, back then it was called Toro Rosso, but now Raging Bulls. But back then it was just it's like mental going, oh, like a 17-year-old kid just on the scene going, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing, bang, straight away, just get I get his first victory.
It is, Matt. Do you think Mercedes will be 4th?
Just depends, because
Come on and put it on the spot. I think they will.
If Aston Martin and Williams, because I think Williams have got a good car going from the testing and the first 2 practices. Now Williams could bang with their driver lineup. They could be in the top 4.
Would you say then Williams are the team to watch out of
yes,
the grid?
Definitely with 2 amazing drivers with Carlos and Alex Albon, and already they're working together on. You can tell that straight away they've got bond. They've got like what Carlos did with Lando at McLaren. They've got that brotherhood straight off, laughing, bantering, getting down to work, going right. This is what we're going to do with the car, and you can already see the transformation that Williams is like from the test and in the practice. They've come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah, the team to watch. Let's move on to the next one. Of course, they've had a bit of a rebrand, haven't they? Obviously, Yuki Tsunoda, I'll say I don't rate him, Dale. I think there's too many mistakes in him. There's too many crashes in him. I think he's very fortunate to have his seat this year, and I think he's there to sell merchandise. I really do. I just being Japanese, it attracts that market. I just think there's too many errors with him.
Yeah, he's. I've also noticed on the radio he's massively angry. Like like angry on the radios all the time. Like you can hear the beep beep beep, which is good to see. He's got the passionate, but he's got to tone it down. And I think that's why he didn't get the Red Bull seat because of he's angry. Like he's angry all the time, and well, he's race engineer. I was trying to give him advice. He tells him to shut up and all that, and it's like, once you're like a top team like Red Bull, do you really want to take on? Do you really want to take on someone that can cause controversial?
I just don't think he's good enough personally. I think this team might struggle massively. I know. Look at the full name now. It's the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls Formula One team, to give them the full title. Obviously, they've got another new youngster coming in, born just 2004, which is incredible. Isaac Hadjar. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know anything about him. Do you know much about him?
He's raced a couple of seasons. He's been in F3 and F2. During, I think it was 3 seasons ago, Red Bull signed Hadja onto their junior program. So he's one to watch. He was battling for championships in the F2 series with Vesti, Behrman, Bortoletto, who's now at Salba, Nick Doohan, who is driving for Alpine. So he knows some of them, and he's got good racecraft as well. So it's going to be interesting with the new rookies come to the old gods.
Yeah.
My time.
Do you see this team struggling?
Yet again, I'll just say mid-table. Probably sixth and seventh, battling for
the construct. I think it'll be the Wards back me. I just didn't rate to know that. There's something about me just that this just constantly crashing all the time. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next team then, which of course, is Max Verstappen. Look, we'll talk about Max Verstappen in a minute, but the change of Liam Lawson, is that a risk? Because he's only had 11 Grand Prix. Don't get me wrong, he has shown signs that he can win points.
Yeah, I would say yes, because he's like he's double version of Max. Driving style similar to Max. Temperament same as Max. So it's just proper which is going to be bad news for Red Bull because he's like in Mexico, he's just like pushing Perez off the track all the time, like thinking I can be like, if Max can get away with it, I can get away with it. I just don't like Red Bull. It's like they've got like the liveries out of the time they've been, they've not changed their livery once. It's just boring.
Do you think he's lucky to get that seat?
Yes.
Because he's only had 11 Grand Prix, and look, he's a talented lad, and he's shown that. But I'm just surprised, like Red Bull didn't say, "Sainz, do you want to come over?" And because that'll make.
That's what I was thinking.
Because Perez,
I was thinking,
last season he was awful.
He was.
Let's be honest. He was like struggling to finish. He was having constantly problems. He's at the back of the grid trying to work himself through the grid. And it was just there's like one superior. And then the other one, I don't know, he just fell off the face of the earth. And Perez obviously has now lost his place and he's out of it. So it's a big one for Liam Lawson, but he's got a great opportunity to make his name for himself. Absolutely fantastic. So it's good for Lawson to have the move. It's good for him to get some points. And let's stress the elephant in the room, Dale. It's Max Verstappen. So he is obviously everybody's threat. And where do you think then? In terms of Red Bull first, obviously they've got Lawson who's up and coming, whereas Ferrari have got 2 established drivers. McLaren, you'd probably say Piastri is almost established now. With Red Bull, they're still going to be in the mix. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of a team, are they going to be flying away? Because I think
they're going to be struggling behind McLaren and Ferrari. I really do. Without, it's going to be the first season without Newey. We'll see how well they do, because I think since Newey left, Red Bull they were nowhere apart from the win he got against Brazil. I know it was wet conditions, but if that was dry conditions, I don't think Max wouldn't have been nowhere near. I think Max would have been probably 6, 7. I would have said if it was in the drying conditions, because Lando had the pace and the sprint with Oscar. But I'll still say McLaren not going to be win the constructors. Ferrari second, and I think Red Bull are going to be third.
I think we're both going to agree that most of the points, a large chunk of them, will probably come from Verstappen. But a lot of
Yeah,
people obviously mentioned in the live chat, and it's not just like even we've just talked about his style of driving. Some people might say it's reckless. It might seem it's aggressive. I can't even get my words out. And I don't think he's going to change. To be honest with you, I think that's just the way he is. He's going to piss off a few people, but I think that's just the way he is. He's that competitive. You know, he reminds me of Cristiano Ronaldo. Do you know why? He's You cannot deny his talent. You cannot. He's a world
yeah,
class player, but fuck me, is he arrogant and petulant? If something goes wrong, I think of Ronaldo twisting, throwing his arms up in the air. You remember
yeah.
Ronaldo? Well, Verstappen does that in the car. He's on the, and it's something simple, and he goes off it in the radio, and he's like won 7 in a row, or something like that, and he's like, "Wait a minute, just take a chill pill, you know." You don't have to go
Yeah.
off it if something slightly goes wrong. I think we'll see more of it this season. I think we'll see Verstappen lose his cool because we're seeing the second half of the season that there's so many different drivers winning. I just pray and hope that happens again. And it's so competitive, this Formula One. I just don't think Verstappen will go on that mad run that he did at the start of last season where he's winning every single race in Formula One. But let's be honest, Formula One's boring if the same drivers constantly winning the same thing. I loved it
Yeah.
when Schumacher was doing it. Of course, I'm a Ferrari fan, but for the generics, it's like, God, it's the same driver, it's the same win. It's, you know what I mean? I think,
Well,
what do you think of his style?
me and Sarah said this. Me and Sarah said the same thing because Sarah's an Aston Martin fan. She supports Fernando Alonso. So this is what we said: take Red Bull out of the equation. Take Max. Take like if Max wasn't there, right? Take Max out of the equation, right? How amazing would F1 be with McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes a couple of times. Aston Martin was there. All them teams were fighting for the wins and podiums. It was like all of a sudden F1 was getting everyone was loving it again and watching it. The ratings went through the roof. Yeah, I don't mind the odd occasion. It is like a driver that's like did amazingly well. Everything went there. Strategy went well. Pit stops went well, and they win by like 20 seconds. That's fine on the odd occasion, but not like when Max was winning like by 20 seconds, like every race. It was like more like I was like, did I really want to watch it now? Did I was like actually starting to get like I was getting bored of it. And then all of a sudden Red Bull struggled. Ferrari came in the mix. McLaren got together. Mercedes were getting better. Aston Martin was up there coping. Then you had like 5 teams battling out for like podiums and wins. It's great to see.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping it's not one of them things again. It's like
Yeah, I agree. I want to and look, we'll both want our own team to do well, but you need different wins. You need to keep it alive, like it was last season, right toward the end, which is great.
and
Uh,
the racing was better.
I've
The
got a
racing was a
fantastic.
lot better. Take like in Austria was the red flag for me, Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen and Lando. Lando was giving Max room. And then all of a sudden, Max was like running him off the track and all this. And I'm like, I was there going, Lando's going. No, I went to Sarah. No, both of these are not finishing this race. None of these are going to race because of Max. And Lando had to retire because of Max. And he got a 5-second penalty and still finished fifth. I was like, and then Mexico was the worst one. Like he Lando clearly had the outside line. He pushed him off, and then the next corner, Max just dive bombed him. If that wasn't a run off there, and that was a concrete wall, basically he was like Lando would have hit that dead on, and that could have been. Well, the safety's gone that up now. That could have been a horrendous injury.
He's mental. He is reckless. Chose in the comments. He's had a little spy and say what we're up to. Says, hope the series runs well, lads. Great. Can tell both of you are passionate as hell as this. Great knowledge. Well, we've like with Formula One, which just never really had a platform properly to do it with a few people. So hopefully we'll get 1 or 2 guests on as well in the future.
Go watch it, though. Watch F1, and you'll understand where we're coming from.
Oh, it's just 24 cars going running a circle, man. Right, cannot stand Max Verstappen, if I'm honest, says Frankie. And Newcastle fan exactly what he's like a 15-year-old. I don't want to do this if you don't do it for me. Acts like a kid, says Frankie. Always have everything in his own way. Seems like there's no time for anyone who doesn't absolutely adore him. And that's childish behaviour from Childish. I know little bits of F1 as my dad loves this. Is Joe, get your dad on. Get your dad on sometime. We'll get him on. We'll talk about the F1. So that was Red Bull. Quick one then, Dale, before we move on to the next team. How many wins will Verstappen get this season?
Oh, I'm gonna say it's a close season. I'm saying he's gonna get 4.
4. Okay, cool. Let's move on to the last team, which is Williams. Kind of briefly touched upon them a little bit earlier. They've probably got the most underrated 2 drivers out of the big 3 or 4 teams. I would have to say, Dale's already said that this is the one to watch out for. I'm very, very kind of sad to see Carlos Sainz leave Ferrari. I've already said that already. I do have a lot of time for Alex Albon. I know he represents Thailand, isn't it, Dale? If I'm right, Thailand.
Yeah, yeah.
He's English, really. Let's be honest. He's English. He's a British driver.
I think his dad's British and his mum's from Thailand.
Yeah,
but then obviously he wanted, on his mum's side, he wanted to represent Thailand for her.
Yeah, which is nice. But he's a British driver, let's be honest. Yeah. A lot of people do like Alex Albon as well, underrated. And obviously he's done with Red Bull in the past, hasn't he? So Carlos Sainz, obviously, look at that, 27 podiums. You know, he's won 4 Grand Prix. Absolutely fantastic driver. Sad to see him go. I think it's harsh that he's been kicked out of Ferrari. I still echo that. But who gets the most points out of these 2? I think it'll be Sainz, but I don't think it'll be by loads. I don't think it'll be like a counter, like he's out by 40 points.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and gonna go for once. They're gonna get the same amount of points.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, same point.
And with Williams, then, you said earlier that they're their outside bet. Do you fancy them to be right up behind Mercedes potentially?
Yeah, I think they'll be in the top 4 or 5, especially being from Carlos. He's had race wins, he's had podiums. Albon's had podiums as well, so both of them are wanting Williams to go forward and be competitive, get wins, get points, even podiums as well. So together, James Vowles, what a man he is. If you think about it, right, all of a sudden you see that Lewis Hamilton joining Ferrari, instant new Carlos is free here. This will be perfect straight away. I agree with you. Them 2 massively underrated drivers. Albon got pushed out by Red Bull because Danny Rick wanted to do a return.
Yeah, they are absolutely fantastic drivers. I mean, they're definitely ones to keep an eye on. Before we have a look at the schedule, because there has been a few of the races being completely flipped. Normally, you'd have them at the end of the race, end of the calendar, and some of them coming forward. But testing, what's been going on, Dale, in pre-season / testing today? Who's looked good? Who hasn't?
The teams that haven't, I'm going to go to the back of the grid. The teams that haven't looked good at Bahrain was Sauber, Haas, Racing Bulls.
Doesn't surprise you.
Nope, it doesn't surprise us. And Aston Martin had one. Stroll was at the bottom. Alonso was mid pack and up to the 7th, 6th. But in practice for the Australian Grand Prix, the teams which was said were going to be at the bottom was Haas and Sauber. Lawson, out of the two practice sessions, were only managed 16th and 17th. I don't know if he's on long runs and getting used to the car, but that's not a good sign.
Do you think we'll know more when qualifying comes around?
Yeah, because
I say that though because Ferrari were really good in qualifying, but then in races, it's a different story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about there. But I still think Red Bull are sandbagging. I did it. I said it last year. Some of the races are when Red Bull were saying, "Oh, we're nowhere in practice. Don't expect us to be in the top 10." And also, Max gets pole position.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be Blinkman. Eddie Howe does it for the football. So, Comment says, this Williams driver lineup excites me. Looking forward to see how they get on. I was a big Williams fan when I was young, a long time ago, same as me and Dale. His dad is British, as in Alexander Alex Albon. He was born in Britain, but his mum is from Thailand, as Dale's mentioned. And the way to describe F1, is, the way I put it, people who don't understand Formula One, it's like being in an aeroplane upside down on a car. Good. It's a good shout, yeah. There's a good point. Calendar. Shall we have a little look, because obviously it's Australia this weekend in Melbourne.
It's good to have that back.
Yeah, I was
in
in
the
Melbourne,
first one, because I was thinking that, like, I was thinking, starting off the F1 Grand Prix in Australia, and all of a sudden, like, Bahrain. I'm like,
well, it's interesting because I am going to come to the theory in a minute. Obviously, I was in Melbourne back in May, and I could see Melbourne Grand Prix in Albert Park right next to us. So that was I would love to go, and I wanted to go for a tour, but they weren't doing it that time of year. But obviously, Piastri's from Melbourne as well, so he'll want to do well.
Lawson.
Yeah, so they'll both want to do well. So absolute nightmare for flight mind, but yeah, they'll both want to do well this weekend. Let's have a look at the calendar, because I do want to pick your theory on this deal, because I think you'll see where I'm going with this. Mm-hmm. So, of course, we've got the Australian Grand Prix, which practice 3 starts in just over 5 hours, and then the race and so on. Now, these are displayed in their time, not UK time, I must stress, because it's in very early in the morning. But if you look at where we're starting, think about in the world where we are. You're starting up with Australia first, then we're heading to China, then Japan is brought forward, Bahrain, and then Saudi Arabia. Okay, so that's where we're going at the moment. When I was looking at this the other day, I had a theory that Formula One is trying to stay in the warmer climates. Hear me out on this, because when we go on, we'll go to Miami. Now look at Miami; it's now May, summer. Now we're coming to Europe when the weather's now warmer. We've got Italy, we've got Monaco, we've got Spain, and then we're back over to Canada, which is still summer, June. Back over to Australia, June, July, Britain, Belgium, Britain. In late July, and then Hungary, and then Holland, and then Italy, and then September at the end of Europe. Some people might not class Azerbaijan as Europe, but it's the start of Asia/Europe. But then we switch, because then it gets colder in Europe. So now we're switching to Singapore in October, back to the States, which will still be quite warm, and then back over to Mexico, which will be really warm. Brazil will be really hot, even though it's November. Las Vegas in November, which will be still fairly warm. Qatar, which is always warm all year round, in Abu Dhabi. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see where it's like, because I think what they've also trying to do is like keep them like, so like you're not going like Australia, then Bahrain, and then you're going to Europe. I'm thinking that they're trying, like what you're saying, with the hottest there, but trying to keep them together as well. So, but traveling Australia, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, China, they're not that far to travel.
The only one that's not is this Canadian one in the middle of the European. That's the only one, because if you look, you've got Italy, Monaco, Spain, then you go to Canada again. So maybe you could have moved the Canadian Grand Prix after Miami to keep it simple.
Yeah.
But
or swapped it with swap Canada with Baku as well, the Azerbaijan.
Yeah, you could
and then
do
that way you've got that way there. Then you've got like, then it's like America, then Canada, that way kind of thing. Like I know where you're coming with this though.
In terms of the changes, what's notable for people who aren't like massive watchers of F1? What's been changed?
It's just basically what they're trying to do is just basically putting trying to gather countries that are not far from each other to save money as well. I think that's what they've been trying to do on this one. Going, no, with there, China, Australia, that's not far to travel. But then doing the European, that's not far to travel as well. So like keeping costs down as well.
It is interesting, because I'm so used to seeing like Japan at the end of the season, and even throughout the years, and it's
Brazil at the start.
Yeah,
so we went Australia, Brazil, then Imola.
Yeah, I remember Brazil's now towards the back end of the season, and it's mad because you've got obviously the Far East countries, 2 of them at the back in Qatar and Abu Dhabi, but then you've got them right at the start as well in the likes of Bahrain and Saudi. You could easily clutch them 4 together, and that's easy to move around, as you say, but they've done it a workaround. And you've got to remember as well, Dale, if I look down as well, that's a lot of people are forgetting, there's 24 Grand Prix this season. That's a lot to scrape through, and you're going to have sometimes 3 weeks in a row that you're going to have races. I know we had a break in the summer last season of 4 weeks, I believe it was, and and it's a lot of Grand Prix to get points up. So if teams are struggling, I don't know, the first 6-7 races, they've still got 17, 18 more to fix the car,
Yeah.
get better. Which will be it's a fascinating season overall. I'm excited by. So we are all, of course, all excited by the start of the Formula One season. A lot of people have different hobbies. Ours is obviously football and F1. Just on the channel, Sam's horse racing. I don't know anything about horse racing, but Sam probably doesn't know much about the F1. And I think Carl's into martial arts and stuff like that. And I think Joe's into WWE as well. So I think Joe's going to be doing some WWE stuff in the near future as well, like live watch alongs and stuff. But let's fire some questions at you before we start wrapping up, and we'll look at the live chat in a second. Who's going to be the biggest flop driver of the season?
Ooh. I was gonna have a go. I'm gonna go Ocon. I know like the Haas is already like there, but on his day, Ocon can have a million be easily there, but I'm gonna go Ocon.
Interesting. I'm going to stick with the Japanese driver.
To know that. I was waiting for that.
He's just the new Lafitte, haven't he? But who's going to be the surprise driver of the year?
I am going to go for Kimi Antonelli.
I thought you were going to say Raikkonen there for a second. I was like, bringing him back. I'm going to say the surprise driver of the year will be one of the Williams. I could flip a coin on them. I think they'll be right up there. I don't think they'll be in amongst the lead in the championship, but I think they'll not just be off it. I'm not going to say Sainz because people might say I'm biased. I'll say Albon. Go on, why not?
I was waiting for you to go. I was waiting. Go on, Lee. Go on, say Sainz. Go on.
Who's going to be the team that flops the most? I'll go. I think it'll be the Haas. I think it'll be the worst. Experience in youth. There is a couple of teams in there that are like. Ugh.
I'm gonna go Racing Bulls.
And who's going to be the surprise team? We've kind of already said, haven't we? It's like
Williams.
It's going to be a Williams, isn't it? And out of just going to the front of the grid as well. Out of the 2 Red Bulls, the 2 Ferraris, the 2 McLarens, out of those 6, who's going to do worst?
Ooh. I'm going to go for Lawson. I was going to go Hamilton because he's got a lot of adapting to do, different power unit, different dynamics going from, because all Hamilton's career he's been with Mercedes powered. He hasn't been with another power unit, but experience get Hamilton the right car. He can win any race, any championship.
I agree. I think it'll be Lawson. It'll be a flop. Title, you've already said Norris. I'm going to agree with you, Dale. That might surprise you.
Woo!
I think Lando Norris has it in him, as long as he keeps his cool, because there was a little bit of war words with Verstappen once or twice on the radio. Just cut that out. Be professional. I think Norris has got it in him. I think he's got the car. But I do think Ferrari will get the constructors. They're getting edger and closer. Who's going to get the constructors?
I've got to back my team. I'm going to go McLaren.
I'm a bias, and look at me. I'll be nice and saying, "Oh, I'll stroke your ego, Dale. I'll say Lando Norris."
You expect us to say Ferrari? No.
Where's my cat? Coco, come over here. I'll stroke you. Was one of that as well. I think I know the answer to this. Who has the most pressure this season? Which driver?
Hamilton.
I agree. I think it's a lot of pressure on him. He has to perform because he's got this reputation, this brand of himself, and he's in a car that everybody would love to drive for, whether they're great or not. Ferrari, it's that name, isn't it? It's that brand of Ferrari. I think the pressure is on Lewis Hamilton to perform. Any team you would say that pressure that they need to perform?
Red Bull.
I would agree.
Massively Red Bull.
I would agree with you again. I think they've got to win the constructors again.
They've got to tell Lawson no matter what, your minimum is a top 5. Top 6 is the minimum.
Yeah, it will be interesting. During the season, me and Dale, potentially some guests. Sometimes we might be on our own. It depends on availability. We're going to get Dale trained up on how to go live himself, which will be easy. Unfortunately, this weekend is quite a big one, not just in terms
It
of
is
Formula
for
One.
us.
It's a big football match going on, which I'm down in London tomorrow morning. I'll be heading down there, so I will miss a lot of the F1. I'll be keeping an eye on the scores, but
And a
obviously
derby. So we've got a big final, a derby in F1.
in terms of the women's football, yeah, we've got three major events going on, which we'd all love to see at the same time, but we kind of. But yeah, we will bring you that. So do keep an eye out. We'll probably do a video later in the week before the next one. And then we'll have a little look at the comments before we say our goodbyes because we are approaching an hour. I did say to Dale this will only take half an hour, but we've kind of just gone over the top.
That's all right, man. And now it's good, man. Now it's good, man.
And they're all coming from Newcastle fan. Remember, if they swear, they're going to get fined by their FIA. Interesting. Keep an eye on that in the radios. Lando will win the World Championship and Ferrari will win the World Championship. Says Lewis Hamilton is the big pressure on him. Exactly the Red Bull. Come on, hopefully we can win the bloody trophy, as in football-wise. Yeah, all the action. Frank says, hope you've had a fantastic weekend, Lee. Fingers crossed for the lads to get their job done. Loads of content coming up this weekend, so stay tuned to the main channel for that. Which I'll show you the whole vlog. I'm on the overlap on Monday night as well. So Monday during the days I'm going to Manchester. So busy weekend. But Dale, you enjoyed that?
Yeah, definitely. Passion F1 fan. Review.
Yeah, drop us a massive like on this if you're watching the rerun of this. Hey, Formula One content, it's back.
Exactly, it's going to be here every time.
We're going to be here as most as that we can. But yeah, we'll love yous and leave yous from me and Dale. And we'll see yous later here on NFTV Extra and Twitch. We haven't forgotten about yous. See yous, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.